12 to 12:30 Eastern Time, or sign up for updates on Mike's mailing list at salessensesolutions.com. Mike appreciates you listening and wishes you good luck on your next sales call.
Well, welcome. It's Mike Krause with the Sales Sense Reality Talk Show. I'm ecstatic to have Erik Luhrs as our guest today. He has been called the Bruce Lee of sales, a marketing maestro, and a sales funnel by Mr. Fix-It. He is the creator of the Guru Selling System, which we'll be talking about, the author of the new book, Be, Do, Sale, and a master of the Marketing to Sales to CRM Experience Funnel. Erik trains and consults with sales and marketing executives and companies engaged in high-end sales so they can create highly profitable and low-maintenance sales teams that generate more exciting leads, shorten sales cycle, and easily leverage additional sales. Erik has worked with hundreds of businesses over every size, from solo entrepreneurs all the way up to Fortune 500 companies like Swiss, McGraw-Hill, and Credit Suisse. Erik created the Guru Selling System after 2.5 years of training with the world's best leaders in sales and marketing so that he could share their genius with you as much as people as possible. And he's also certified in NLP, the Silva Method, and Accelerated Learning. So without further ado, Erik, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing great, Mike. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing awesome. Thanks for asking. So I'm always excited. There's always a new thing that I can learn throughout this show. So tell the listeners a little bit more about your background and kind of walk you through that.
Oh, sure. Well, and I apologize up front. I have my allergies are kicking in, so if my voice sounds a little funny, I do apologize to your listeners. My background is that I spent 10 years in and around New York City working in corporate America as a manager in various companies. I was fired from my last job because I did it too well. And at that point in time, I decided to strike out on my own as a consultant, which I did, and I did quite well. And after a couple of years of waking up in hotels and forgetting where I was sometimes because I was, on the road so much, I decided to start some businesses from home and to have a home-based business. Eventually I started a business which is known as professional organizing, which is helping people organize their homes and offices. And after about 2 years of doing that, that was an industry where most people struggled to make $35 an hour going into people's houses or offices and moving stuff around. And I was coaching clients by phone for $400 an hour. So I had a lot of professional organizers asking me how I did that. And at that point in time, I closed up that business and started a coaching business coaching business, initially for organizers. But they liked what I was doing, and they referred me to their friends. But the issue came up for me was that I had made it, quote unquote, as a business coach, but I didn't know how I had made it. And I was trying to advise people on building, their businesses. And the mainstay, of course, is marketing and sales. And since I had done it by luck, I wanted to go out and I wanted to be in integrity. So I went out and I studied with the best sales and marketing people that I could find. A lot of the known names out there, but also a lot of people who are just, everyday salespeople who do it extraordinarily well. I spent 2+ years studying with them and learning what they teach other people consciously, but also I spent a lot of time modeling them so I could learn what they do unconsciously. And so that, I could really pick up the things that not that they don't want to teach other people, but they just don't think about teaching other people. And by doing all that, I was able to glean a lot of things that, most people just don't put into sales systems or sales training systems. And ultimately, that became the Guru Selling System.
Excellent. So through your research and, going out there and doing the interviewing and the heavy lifting, you found a formula and you branded it the Guru Selling System. Now, we all know these systems, there's many systems out there. What really does your system do that's unique, and how can it help businesses, sell more and the sales professional really engage and increase revenue?
Well, several of the factors that we focus on are different than other systems in that, Guru stands for, it's not just a cool thing to call a system. It actually is an acronym for G stands for genuine self. The first U stands for unique sales persona. R stands for rapport building. The second U stands for unique buying position, and S stands for sales ally. And what we focus on that, a lot of other systems are just like, scripts and do this and manipulate that and whatever. We start out with G, which is genuine. And the thing about genuine is allowing a human being to be their genuine self. See, a lot of other systems talk about acting authentic, and every time I hear that term, act authentic, it makes me want to, do something unpleasant.
Yeah, exactly. I got you there, though. That's good, yeah.
Because they automatically, it takes it out of being real. It's like, okay, this is just a manipulation tactic, and that's not what human beings want. They don't want you to act a certain way to manipulate them into believing that you care or something. They just want you to be you. And more importantly, you want you to be you because you're the person who's out there doing the sale. This is your life. If you're not living a genuine life, then ultimately you become one of these, $1 million closers who's also got, a $100,000 a year cocaine habit and is out there gambling and drinking and, ends up dying of a heart attack or stroke or something at the age of 57. So that's the first aspect that we focus on that most systems don't. Also, the unique sales persona, everybody knows the old USP, which is the unique selling proposition, which I tell people the unique selling proposition is dead. And the unique sales persona focuses in on making you the differentiator in the sale. So a lot of salespeople are always looking for what's different about my product or service. Forget that. Let's make you the differentiator, because everybody's always talking about differentiation. But when you are the differentiator, you're never having to look for another thing to differentiate or worrying about who's copying you. You simply are the differentiator, and automatically you have that differentiation built in. Another aspect, again, as I said, the second U in Guru stands for unique buying position, which is all about getting to the deeper problems that people really have that they don't know that they have, and by pulling those out, by extracting those, that's what decreases sales length, because the length of a sales cycle is in direct proportion to the distance between your understanding of the situation and the buyer's understanding of a situation. So the unique buying position eradicates that situation and then decreases the sales length. And so those are three main characteristics, and like I said, the real end-all, be-all of the Guru selling system that differentiates it is that it's not just what all of these, very famous sales and marketing trainers and the regular people that I study with, it's not just what they teach people consciously, which, a lot of people can read other people's books or go to their seminars and learn what they do consciously. But they end up walking out of those seminars or reading those books and still having no change in what they're doing and no performance improvement. So I trained and learned and studied what they do unconsciously, and those were the pieces that I really extracted and put into the Guru selling system, so that the people who learn it and study it and train in it will ultimately have not just the generic stuff, but they'll have all of the missing pieces that make the real secret sauce work.
Absolutely. You bring up a great point there, and I find this all the time in my coaching and with my clients, and going back to something you stated there, is that a sales rep goes in there and they don't even know the prospect doesn't even know the real problem. And it's almost like you got to be a CIA, or you got to go in there and really investigate a little bit more. And I find that is the most common problem out there, next to the fear of picking up the phone, is that the ability for a sales professional to ask the right questions at the right time and find that pain. Have you seen some things with your system that are able to develop that instead of I have these things called an order taker or a sales maker? I mean, or does your system allow people to really uncover that prospect's needs?
Well, sure. That's the mainstay of the system. The facilitation piece for that is rapport.
Mm-hmm.
Rapport, again, is taught by most sales systems. The issue is that rapport tends to be taught in let's put it like this. Rapport tends to be taught in a McDonald's mentality fashion. how can I strip it down and make it a common denominator kind of thing? So what do they teach you about rapport? You mirror, you match, tonality, etc. I teach this stuff too. Yes, it's the basics of getting into basic rapport with a human being. But that's just the part where you get into a shallow rapport, where they're interested enough to continue talking with you. Most sales systems, they'll think that that's the end-all, be-all of rapport. Oh, we're mirroring, we're matching, we've got the same energy, they're moving with me, blah, 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 blah. It's all taken from NLP. But there is, once you have that, do you care? Do you have compassion? Do you have real curiosity? See, once most salespeople get rapport, then they default to, okay, here's the 5 questions I've got to ask, and make sure that I get these answers because then I'll, and then I can qualify, quantify, and blah blah blah, and then, I'm looking for that speed problem, so I can give a speed solution, so I can speed out to my next meeting because I'm trying to create 500 new sales this month, and so you get all this shallow level stuff going on. So yeah, in Gurus, what we'll tell you to do is slow down, stop, and care. See, the other thing is that when you get into rapport with somebody, you have to decide, do I really care about this person? Because I'll be the first person to tell you, if you don't feel natural rapport with a human being, it doesn't matter how much tactic, technique, this, that, the other thing, I can manipulate my words and blah, 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 blah. If you don't feel something for them and you don't feel like serving them and you don't feel like working with them, you're never going to get into deep rapport with them. It doesn't matter. You can use all the manipulation tactics and everything like that. But if you get that energy and you really feel compassionate or like somebody and you get into deep rapport, then getting to their problems comes naturally. Why? Because then they open up to you. Most clients will not open up to most salespeople because they realize we are having a shallow, one-dimensional conversation right now. And I'm going to look at you just like I looked at the other 5 guys who all came in here in blue suits and blue ties and showed me brochures and did a PowerPoint presentation for exactly 22 minutes and then left 8 minutes for questions and everything like that and sped out to their next thing. So simply by utilizing other aspects of the Guru's selling system, but mostly the rapport piece and compassion, and then getting down to those deeper levels, asking those questions, really being concerned and compassionate about somebody, the natural issues will expose themselves, and ultimately you will get to their unique buying position, which is, it's a construct of their deepest problem, their personal deepest problem, and the company's deepest problem. Because remember, there's other aspects here. There's the individual's issues, and then there's the company's issues, and then there is the combination of the two. Each individual has his own stake in whatever the problem is, and then if you get into that situation where you have, multiple decision maker thing, then you've got multiple people with multiple personal issues and then a company issue and all that other kind of stuff. None of this stuff you ever get to if you're doing shallow, one-dimensional rapport building and running out to your next thing. So, yes, that's a long way to answer your question, but yeah, we definitely go into helping people get to the deeper issues and the interworkings of those deeper issues.
Absolutely, because, and I've always referred to this as like the Wizard of Oz, who's behind the curtain? Because just like you said, one-dimensional, we do have this almost fake and personality, and they know we're a salesperson, so they know we're there for some sort of money. They know maybe at the end they've been burned by other salespeople in the past, and it's going to be another problem on their plate, so there's almost that uncomfortable appearance there that they don't want to address, or the elephant in the room, and it would just keep going on with our robotic responses of like, okay, I have my questions, I have this, I have that. But at the end of the day, if the salesperson even did a perfect call and there's no connection, you're not going anywhere with that prospect or client because they just don't feel like you're caring or compassionate about their needs. And I love that you bring up the word compassion and caring because that's really what the relationship is. Everyone talks about relationship selling, and that's the core of it. How can, going just back to basics, Erik, how can our listeners and our sales professionals and our business leaders show they care?
Well, let's take a look at the question. How can you show you care? It's, again, we have to be aware of the language that we're using. See, saying you show you care already puts it back into, it doesn't definitely do it, but it could very easily put it back into that construct of what is a tactic or a technique that will display to my buyer that I really am concerned about them. Ultimately, I think it's feeling. I don't think it's kind of like, you can't fake love. We all been in relationships where at some point in time we knew we knew we loved the person as a person, but we knew we weren't in love with them anymore.
Right.
And there's that painful time when it's like, I got to break up with them. I got to break up with them. But they're so nice, but I got to break up with them. You know what I mean? So, and what do? We start going through the motions. Oh, she's expecting me to go here. Okay, I've got to dress nice. And it's like, so, but even your partner feels when the love ain't there anymore.
Right.
So it's really about, it's more about the fact of, if you care enough to say, you know what, I'm not feeling it, then you're doing yourself and the client a service, because you're saying, look, I can help. I mean, we've got the products and services and everything that can help you with this, but I just think you might be better off finding somebody who can better understand. I mean, obviously, you don't want to say to them, I don't care about you, but or I don't feel you or anything like that. But being able to say, look, maybe one of my other colleagues would be better servicing you, or another vendor would be better servicing you. I think that the way to show you care, or to basically the way that you demonstrate that you care, so that is how they feel, because that's what you want. You want your client. And that's what the unique buying position is all about, is you want the client to feel a certain way, not to think a certain way and not to have an emotional response, but to literally feel in their gut. And that's where, if you read in my book, I talk about that, where the unique buying position lives literally in the human being's gut. You want them to feel a certain way about you, and that's how they really know. And then everything else in terms of displays of our relationship naturally flow from that feeling, that desired interaction. It's just like, again, comparing it to romance. Once you're in a good relationship, the things you do together just happen naturally. You decide to go along, and everything. Yeah, so it's all a natural flow.
Yeah, exactly. And that you bring up a lot of good points there. And I always remember, it's funny with the breakup thing. I always remember the Seinfeld when he says, breaking up with a relationship is kind of like tipping over a Coke machine. You gotta rock it first. And then all of a sudden it falls over. You just can't go over there and just turn it off. And I think the showing part is, like you mentioned, I don't have the product, but I know someone else. That's a rare commodity, a rare characteristic of a salesperson to do, and I always did that. Is like I called it the miracle on 34th Street. Gimbel's doesn't have it, but Macy's does. Macy's doesn't have it, Gimbel's does. And you know what? That might be a long-term strategy, but years later they thank you, your client or prospect, because you showed them that you cared about their problem, and you weren't just in there for a commission and to move on to the next sale, and that you felt something. I think that's the big thing there. You bring up your book. Let's talk about that. Be, Do, Sale. Tell us a little bit more about the motivation behind that.
Well, the motivation behind the book was actually frustration, because I started my book about 10 times.
Oh, I know that process, yes.
And I outlined the book again and again and again, and I got to tell you, I have mind maps that if I had written the actual first book, it probably would have been 1,018 pages, and that would have been volume 1. So finally, I just kept asking myself, and this is a process, it's kind of the same questions I ask my clients, but I kept saying, what is it like? What is it like? What is it like? What is it like? And I remember I was out, it was last summer, it was July or August, whatever, it was a hot day, I was out running, and I'm sweating, and I keep asking, what is it like? What is it like? And finally the words be, do, have just popped into my head. And for those who aren't aware of or aren't familiar with that term, if you're into either self-improvement and or metaphysical kind of stuff, you've watched The Secret or something, you probably have heard the term be, do, have. Now, for those who aren't acquainted with it, let me break it down real fast, which is most human beings live lives of quiet desperation, and they live lives of quiet desperation. This includes salespeople, business owners, moms and dads, it doesn't matter who it is. They live this life because they gauge what they are on what they have. So they look at their bank account and they say, I have $500 in the bank. That means if I have $500 in the bank, I be a $500 having person, which means I can do $500 having things. And most people, this is the model that helps most people repeat the results in their life that they're not really happy with. Why? I mean, I only have $500, I can only do $500 things. I only have $500, I can only do $500 things. And then oh my God, and all they do is they complain and moan, and the next week they have $500, and the week after that they have $500, and $500 until the day they die. Because our brains, and there's a lot of psychology here, but our brains basically respond to the stimulus we give them. We keep telling our brains we have $500, our brain goes, okay, and just keeps reinforcing that we have $500. However, for the self-made millionaires and millionaires out there, and for the people, and not even just in terms of money, but people who have accomplished, the Roger Bannisters who broke the 4-minute mile, the people who have accomplished amazing things, they looked at a situation and they said, okay, who do I have to be in order to do the things I need to do to have the outcomes I desire? By asking themselves that question, they automatically changed the order of things and said, okay, I have to now be somebody different. I can't be the person I was 2 seconds ago. I literally cannot be that person anymore because that person was going to keep getting the $500 in the bank. That person was never going to break a 4-minute mile. So who do I have to be? And then that person, that being, will drive the actions, the things that I do, and those will change my outcomes, i.e. my results, i.e. what I have. Same thing works in sales. I mean, a lot of salespeople who say, they look at themselves and say, I'm just a run-of-the-mill salesperson. I'm a lower tier, or even the people who think they're top dog. Again, remember, top dog in your company is based on whoever's second. That's a pretty poor measure for how you're going to base whether or not you're the best salesperson you could possibly be. But yet this is what people do. They look at what the sales that they have and they say, I'm this kind of salesperson, this level salesperson. I'll just keep doing it and I'll keep having it. I'll keep doing it, I'll keep having it. The second you change who you be, you will change what you do and you will change the sales that you have.
Excellent points, and I'm a big believer about in self-improvement and attraction and doing the right things and having visualization. And you hit the nail on the head, Eric. If someone keeps saying I'm the worst or I have only $500, your example, and then it's almost like they don't know they're doing it, though, because I study people, obviously, a lot because in sales and in self-improvement you kind of reflect a lot. And I'm just always wondering, that person, I guess, never, quote-unquote, wakes up and says, hey, I've been saying $500 for 30 years, and boy, I only have $500. I wonder if I said I have $1 million. Would that make a difference? I'm always fascinated by that model. And I guess that goes back to sales and prospects. Can we convert a prospect that says you're no good or your image is not there? Once after we break that 3-second rule of blink, like Malcolm Gladwell has written in his book of the intuitive repulsion. I love that, those words, intuitive repulsion, the ability to read into something. Do you think people can change until they're ready to change?
So do you mean, can we change the impression a client has of us? Is that what you mean?
Yes. And just like for the example, too, just to kind of go back to a consumer there, $500 and wondering if they're going to always have $500. And also, when that prospect is sitting there and they've had a bad experience with your company that you're currently representing, this is a loaded question, obviously, but what are some tactics or some tools or anything to come around that person that has ingrained in it that we're a bad salesperson or a bad company? I mean, what are you able to do?
Well, great question. Let's take it back to relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that you, we know people, either we know people and or we've seen the movies where somebody breaks up with somebody and then realizes later on this was the person they were meant to be with. Well, that intention in you drives the activities that you do. It drives the energy that you come in with. Mm-hmm. Remember, it's very easy for a salesperson to say, "Oh, we lost." Let's say you're new to the company. They say, "Yeah, we lost this account 2 years ago. We want you to go reestablish with them." Well, the first thing is why? Because they have money. Yeah, no.
Yeah, right. Okay, good answer. Right. Yeah. Next.
Because they were a $5 million client. Yeah, and we kind of screwed up bad, but go get it back. Like, yeah, don't put too much pressure on me for nothing. So the question is, why do we really want them back? Do we really want to service this client? And that goes back to, as a salesperson, did you join a company that's an ethical and really compassionate company, or did you take the job for money? Because if you took the job for money, you're already out of genuine to begin with. But let's say the company is genuine, you're genuine, and they say, we really want to get this person back. Great. Then, just like in a relationship, you go back humble. Screwed up. We screwed up. I'm sorry. I'd like to know what I did wrong. Or what we did wrong. I'd like to know what, because again, are you happy? Like if they found somebody new, are you happy with them? I mean, is this the person for you for the rest of your life? Yeah. Then you leave them alone. You don't go trying to wreck somebody. If somebody's engaged with somebody else, you don't go trying to wreck their marriage. But if you can come back and they go, no, I've been dating other people and whatever, but I just, haven't found anybody who ever really clicked with me like you. Same thing with a client. Yeah, we've been using, since we stopped using you 2 years ago, we've been through 3 other vendors. But with you, we had an 8-year relationship before that. Okay, so obviously something was good, something was working, and something screwed up. Let's find out what that is, and let's see if we can fix. Maybe if it's inherent to us, then we can't fix it, and we shouldn't be here. But if it was just a schism in the machine at that point in time, then we can obviously overcome this, and we can make this work. If it's about your intention, it's about your energy. You go in humble and genuine, and really wanting to reconnect with them as a person to really help them in their company, then that's the impression. It's all about, you talked about the repulsion thing. Repulsion is based on energy. I can tell, I have tons of unconscious sensors that are far more accurate than my conscious sensors that can tell whether or not you're trying to bamboozle or anything like that, and I'll pick that up in a heartbeat.
Yeah, so we could spend hours on the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind, it seems, because that is really one of the things that I think salespeople should start paying more attention to, not just the tactics and just going in there with your robotic persona. It's really being unique and really driving that and being genuine, like you said. It sounds like everyone benefits from the Guru selling system. I want to, unfortunately, we're already out of time here. I want you to close down and see, how can folks get a copy of your book and get in touch with you, Erik, and learn more about the Guru selling system, and just close us out here, Erik.
Sure. You can find the book at BeDoSale, that's BeDosale.com, and you can find me at my website, which is guruselling.com. That's GURUselling.com. That'll have a link to the book. And also you can go there and download our free report, Secrets of the Guru Selling System, which is a basic understanding of the Guru Selling System.
Absolutely. And, I think the reflection here at the end of the show here is just be genuine, be yourself, be caring to that prospect or client that you care, and everything else just falls into place. But if you go in there, like Erik and I have been talking about here, robotic and stiff and just rehearse, it's almost like they pick it up instantly on their unconscious mind and their receptors, like Erik was just mentioning, and you're just going down a path of more resistance at the end, more objection handling. So Well, Erik, I've learned a tremendous amount here. I encourage everyone to go out and check out Erik's website and the Guru's selling system. I know I am. And I really wish everyone good luck on their next sales call. And, Erik, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
All right. Enjoy now. Bye.